Guys, it is Tristan with Nerdette's NewsStand, and I want to talk about some issues going on right now around the Watchmen graphic novel. Now, this is something that dates back so long ago. There is a lot of nuance and just exactly what you think when it comes to this story, whether you side with the creator of Gandalf the Grumpy, Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, or you side with a company like DC Comics. It really depends on your thinking. There's no right answer here, but there is a conversation to be had. DC is and will remain to be one of my favorite comic book companies. That makes them far from perfect. They have screwed over a lot of creators, whether it's Alan Moore or Bill Finger. There is a lot of issues that are underlying in this company, and it really, makes their past a little rocky, right? So we're going to talk about Watchmen, and we're going to talk about when it was created, which would have been around the time of the British invasion. We saw people like Alan Moore start writing. We saw people like Lieber Mayhew, Brian Azzarello, Grant Morrison, who literally does not age. Look it up. I swear he's like Keanu Reeves. But even so, we see all these new people come into DC Comics, meaning there's going to be new contractual obligations for everyone. Now let's talk specifically about Dave Gibbons and about Alan Moore. Alan Moore has always been a little bit different, I guess is the nice way to put it. He's a great guy, don't get me wrong. He is a fantastic writer, but he went through a whole career life of being screwed over. So there's a complete understandability why he's always grumpy. Now, let's talk about Watchmen's contract. This was created with the understanding that when Watchmen went out of print, the rights would then revert back to Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons, and it would be their intellectual properties. This never happened. Now, there's a lot of argument too as whether DC actually meant for it to happen or this was planned all along. But I do think that DC did not realize what a gold mine they had on their hands with the Watchmen, and started with the pins, right? They started producing pins, and that was kind of a gentleman's agreement that they were not allowed to do any sort of actual anything besides the comic, any sort of endorsement, any sort of t-shirt, any sort of novelty. Then the pins came along, and they got an agreement on that. Okay, so they worked through that. And then they started doing a board game, and that was it, right? That was it. That's when Alan Moore really realized what was going on. He would never get those rights back, and he never, ever did. We saw Zack Snyder do a fantastic movie, still one of my favorites. The changes, were fine. I actually think it worked better for a live action. And then we saw before Watchmen, and we saw amazing talent on that, right? We had Darwin Cook, we had Lieber Mayhew, Brian Azzarello, Amanda Connor. Great stories done. Jay Lee was another big one, and they were fantastically done. But the issue was, it still never went back to its original creator, Doomsday Clock. And now we are getting Rorschach. Now we are getting something by Tom King. I don't have a whole lot of faith in it, but we will have to wait and see. I will give it a chance. I always do, unfortunately. But we have a new drama erupting here, right? Because we have Jim Campbell, who is mad at DC Comics today. It was different about 10 years back when he didn't care. He kind of basically at that time told Alan Moore to get over it, but now he is mad at DC Comics and Tom King for, it starts off with a lettering error, right? This is the cover that is got him so upset, right? This is a Black Label book. This is my favorite character when it comes to Watchmen. Always has been, always will be. But Oh, it's the writer I don't have the faith in. So let's take a look at this cover, right? So this cover is by Boland. Fantastic, beautiful cover. I love everything about Brian Boland's art. He does such a great job. But even so, he writes 2 words, and they still manage to fuck up the lettering, right? It says a smile. I actually didn't notice this mistake. I don't think most people did, but he was a letterer. He won Eisner's, right? For his lettering, I guess. You know, Eisner is nothing anymore, but even so. So, Jim Campbell complains about the way that the I is a uppercase I instead of a lowercase I. All right, I get it. That was your job for so long. I really do get it. So even so, that is not the issue here. The issue here is how upset he is at the creators involved. Let's take a look at this. Also, fuck Tom King, fuck George Fornes, and Dave Stewart. Fuck anyone who participates in this blatant IP theft by DC. If your paycheck is so important that you'll sanction this absolute robbery, fuck you. Now, like I said, this is a change of mood when it comes to this. This is a change of opinion. It could be he learned something new. He could have changed the way he thinks. Usually, if you're uneducated about something and, find out more, then it does change. I understand 100% what he means. In this situation, my personal belief is that Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons should have got their IPs back. What DC did to them, like many others they did it to, was IP robbery. Yes, it was. But, at this point, maybe 10 years ago, probably 20 years ago, Alan Moore realized he was never getting these characters. So much so that when he was offered credits and money for both Zack Snyder's movie, he was offered $250,000 for Before Watchmen, just to endorse it, just to put his name on it, and he refused to. Now Dave Gibbons did. He did basically say, you give it to Dave. He just has to say thank you. And he did. Rightfully so, right? So, he knows these things. For this man to get this upset and attack creators that are trying to make a living. And I don't normally defend Tom King. I'm not defending his writing. I'm defending what I believe is right here. What I believe is right is Alan Moore should have had his IPs. Yes. But at this point, he has put a wall in between him and Watchmen. He's kind of focused on other things, whether it's Extraordinary Gentleman or 2000 AD. He even worked for DC for a while, right? When Jim Lee got an offer for Wild Horse, right? He came back to DC, but the actual paycheck didn't come from DC. It came from Jim Lee. But even so, that's a story for another day. But for him to get so upset and attack creators that are trying to make a living is really, really unprofessional and absolutely unwarranted. This was unneeded. Jim Campbell with, oh, honey. I just seen his little icon is just says BLM. Okay, so this explains a lot, right? He's delusional by nature. And then he goes on to say, to be clear, you sell your work on work for hire. You know what to expect. But Watchmen wasn't work for hire. The revision clause clearly implies that the work reimagined Moore and Gibbons copyright and that DC licensed it under specific circumstances. This is theft. I mean, it's not that simple. But yes, it was when they went out, and did Watchmen. The Watchmen changed so many things in this situation. DC never expected that kind of a thing. So they weren't going to give it up. But when it was done being printed, it was supposed to revert back to them. And it never stopped being printed, and it never will. It is one of those IPs that are worth as much as, the likes of Batman and Superman, to DC at least. Okay, maybe not quite that much, but close enough, right? So, This is ridiculous. He says, the fanboy in me would kill to get DC gig on any number of titles that I love. But they could offer me $50 a page and I wouldn't touch this shit. Is that good? They could offer me, that feels like, what? I don't know what DC pays, but I feel I've learned more what DC pays. I've learned editor prices and writer prices in the last few weeks. I've heard some things. $50 a page is bad? I mean, is good? I feel like they're being underpaid. That's regardless. I just didn't realize what it said. But that just feels like you're not being paid enough for your... Okay. Anyways, this situation was unneeded. This situation will never change when it comes to Watchmen. It will never change. And I don't know what the outburst was needed for at this point. I really don't understand it. Like, it feels to me like you're raising your hand. Like, you remember, like, in second grade when you'd raise your hand because you knew the answer, right? Everybody did that. Do you remember that annoying kid in the corner that would, like, raise their hand and wave it and use their other hand to wave their other hand and then maybe hit their desk with their elbow, maybe put their pencil in the air, like trying to get the teacher's attention and you really wanted to punch them? I've wanted to punch people since second grade, yes. So, do you remember that person? That's what Jim Campbell feels like right now. He feels like he is going, look at me, please, pick on me, DC, somebody pay attention to me, please, 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 please. I want back pats. I have socially distancing in my title. I have BLM in my icon, and nobody's still paying attention to me, please, please, please. That's what it feels like. Like, come on, dude. Get your panties back out of a wad. Because obviously you don't wear big boy underwear. And knock it off. Like, this was really unneeded. You attacked people that didn't deserve it. And now they deserve the apology. Really, honestly, they do. You're acting like a child. You're acting like a literal second grader raising his hand and crying. I don't understand it. It doesn't matter. Guess who looks bad in this situation? Not you. Not me. You look like the asshole. And again, you remain the asshole. Anyways, so let me know what you think about this. Of course, there is... did I say Jim Sterling? I meant Jim Campbell. I don't know which I said. I'll fix it when I edit. But, I don't know what you guys think about the actual contractual obligation when it comes to Watchmen. Let me know in the comments below. But then, of course, let me know what you think about Jim Campbell's little, childlike outburst here. And, just exactly if you think Alan Moore will ever get those rights. But it's not going to happen. So stop acting like children. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Hey guys, I want to give a huge shout out to my Patreon and subscribe stars. You guys literally make this channel possible. Huge thank you to Cage the Mick, Robert Mick Twiz, Black Knight Fool, Brucey, Chris Z, David L, David Rafford, Jeffrey Allen Carnes, Mighty Balls, Mike Buckner, Maizen Barbosa, Ruskar, Ryan Decker, Robert Hoffman, and Doc Holliday. You guys are absolutely amazing, and thank you so much for all your support. Don't forget on the way out to like as always if you enjoy the content and hit subscribe. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.